not to get to be involved, particularly with Parliament, when dealing with issues of its policies. And for that reason that there is this request that Parliament allows cabinet secretaries to appear before the floor to respond. And I think this is, again, really just actualizing the provisions of Article 125. And being the people's representatives, I think Parliament should be kept informed of all decisions that the executive is coming up with. My view is that every arm of government should know what is required of it under the Constitution. The Office of the Attorney General seconds legal counsel to every ministry. And indeed, it is my position that I would want those legal counsel seconded to the various ministries to be the first point of call whenever the government is getting involved in any issues that have to do with the administration of the law and issues that touch on the constitutional requirements. But let me say, the president is the hand of the executive, and it is quite, in order for him to use what has been said by his cabinet secretary, maybe quietly. It is quite open to the president to say it publicly that that he has instructed for this to happen. Remember, indeed, he is the foremost spokesperson of the government and indeed of the country. And therefore, I don't see any interference, so to speak, with the functioning of police. And I think we all must allow that from time to time, communication will be made which explains what government is doing with regard to various activities that are taken by various agencies. Honorable Koech, Mr. Chairman, raised the issue of the CDF ruling that came on the 8th of August. Quite an interesting date for the ruling to have come, because I was reading it as I was driving to the village to go and vote the next day, and it was a bombshell. But I think consultations are ongoing. It is agreed by many people that that what CDF has been able to achieve in this country is phenomenal, and I think we can be able to work on around ways. Remember, there were some areas that the court took issue with. One, the area of shareable revenue, so that we can address that one as Parliament. Actually, Parliament can address that one by going through, look at what is provided for in Article 202, so that CDF does not become part of that mechanism of sharing national revenue, so that what remains with the national government becomes the place where CDF should be hyped off from. So I think if we can consult on that area, I think we can make the necessary adjustments. And it's unfortunate that as a result, no disbursements have been made so far. I think it's really an unfortunate situation. The other area which we need to address, and I think this is within your powers as members of Parliament in the National Assembly, is what the courts went to great lengths to explain about service delivery. And I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, looking through these members, these are fairly clever members. We can deal with that. It's something that we can work on. And I'll be available. Because I truly feel that CDF should continue. On the issue of extrajudicial killings, Mr. Chairman, I think I would want to associate myself with the outrage that His Excellency the President, expressed yesterday. I think being a country governed by the rule of law, we should never have a situation whereby, this is happening in our country. And from me, you can expect that we will be, advising the relevant agencies to be on the lookout that even this is a way of actually burdening the taxpayer, because those who lose their loved ones through these processes obviously end up suing the government. The government has no money of its own. That money comes from the taxpayer. And I think we also need to revisit, and I want to make a plea to Parliament, because I know you also make a lot of recommendations, that we need to bring back this issue of surcharge. Individuals must be surcharged when they do things which are outside of their official responsibilities or duties that they are given to. The Honorable Mule, on the issue of international agreements, and I'm doing it very quickly, I will need to study the issue of the maritime dispute with Somalia, as well as the report that came from the committee that dealt with the issue of Migingo. I believe these countries being our neighbors is something that we can be able to amicably resolve. There's no need of going to war over such. And I think, because I know there are some reports, and on this issue of the dispute with Somalia, I know there's a committee that is handling it, and I'll need to go through it and be able to make an appropriate decision. The same should apply to the issue of Batuk. They call it the British Army Training Unit in Kenya. I think the last that I know of, and I think Mr. Chairman, here we are lucky in that the Honorable Dido Raso was in that committee, and they know that they made some recommendations which were actually pending ratification by the House, but unfortunately the House went into Senate recess